Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, let's wake up and shine, huh? Wake up and shine today, because today we bring to a close our theme from impediment to empowerment. We're bringing it to a close. We have looked at impediments as a chance for greater empowerment, as an opportunity to grow bigger in God, and as a stepping stone for our consciousness to expand. And it is my heartfelt prayer that the obstacle, because we've asked people to bring an obstacle with them. If you don't have one, good for you. But to bring an obstacle, all the 4 talks on in this series. And we've been working on them, and hopefully we've shifted to perceive them in a new way. To have taken inspired action, or 2 or 3, around them. Oh. And that we've used our will, that was last week, we used our will to keep our eye on the vision while surrendering it to the power and presence of life itself, divine life, knowing that it, as you, is on a course of ever-expanding consciousness. So today, we wrap up this theme, and as we do, it is important to acknowledge the fact that in our human experience, facing obstacles takes great courage and a willingness to step into the unknown. In fact, risky business. But living a God-filled, empowered life that we are meant to live is worth the risk. Divine good is in all of its splendor, and it cannot enter our lives if there is no room. So we have to have the room for this spirituality to really work through us. It's in us. It's always in us, but we have to open to it and allow it. In these times and in all times in our lives, it is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves, to know that there is something other than conditions and facts. So stepping into the unknown, while it might appear frightening, sometimes we have to let go of the familiar. And in the world we're living in today, if you didn't get it before, I think you've gotten it now. Because we are moving in the unknown, in the uncertain. But this is where divinity resides. God is everywhere, right? And I love this quote from Anais Nin. She wrote this: "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." So when we try to hold on to what was, it is so painful. And when we allow ourselves to blossom in any circumstance, you look at the crack in the sidewalk where there's no life, and there you'll see life growing. It's amazing. It's a miracle, and that's who we are. But still, though, we know this. Where the divine resides, we're still afraid to take that risk. I also love this line from a Daniel Nahmod song that goes, "I'm afraid of taking chances, as if I could damage my soul." We know we can't. Impossible. And this note from the universe, that we get these on the computer, TUT website, comes through every day. And this one came through. Worry? Really? Do you think something could go wrong? Are you not eternal? Have you forgotten how much you are loved? Don't you see how far you've already come? Could you possibly be in better hands? Is there not chocolate in every land? Love the universe. And anyone that knows me knows that that is extremely important in my life. In fact, during this whole pandemic thing, when we were quarantined, very carefully, with a mask on, we drove to Lambertville to get our 4 pounds of chocolate every 2 weeks. 2 a day. 4 pounds can last that long. So chocolate is important, and it's still manifested in my life, but I digress. why are we really afraid to take a risk, though? We're terrified of bold, inspired actions. We can turn any obstacle into an opportunity. And the truth is, taking the action can be terrifying to many of us. There could be a lot of deep-seated reasons as to why, but I suspect for many, it boils down to a fear of failure, a fear of not being good enough. But really, what is failure? I don't do failure. If things change, then they change. But anyway, what is failure? The dictionary describes it: a condition or fact of not achieving the desired end or result. And I really like that the dictionary uses fact and condition, because they have tremendous metaphysical significance. As we all are metaphysicians, that conditions and fact have nothing to do with truth. Truth with a capital T. In the divine flow of the perfect energy, which is God itself, there are no failures. The conditions and facts may suggest that something in our life is, in fact, a failure. It's what it might feel to a lot of people. We may even think that conditions and facts suggest that we ourselves are failures. But this is not the truth. The truth is, there is one life. This life is God. This life is perfect. And this life is my life now, to quote Ernest Holmes. Let's do that one together. So repeat this after me. There is one life.
There is one life.
That life is God.
That life is God.
That life is perfect.
That life is perfect.
And this life is mine now.
And this life is mine now.
Good. Claim that, because it's the truth. In fact, if we allow our failures to actually can help wake us up to the fact that we are one in nature, as we are here, one in nature with God. To trust that the universe really does have our back and pre-paves our road forward. They can help us, these conditions, they can help us realize that the presence and power that created this universe is available, present, and supportive for all of our greatest good. They can inspire us to see that no challenge is too great. No failure is too big for God. For divinity does not even recognize failure, because it doesn't exist in the divine nature. There's only success. There is no failure. The most successful authors, inventors, actors, etc., have developed the ability to deal with massive amounts of what looks like failure. High achievers rarely think of failure as an end in itself. Instead, they believe in, I love this, delayed success. Delayed success. Story of my life. But I'm living in the now, so right now it feels very successful. I believe that any endeavor will always bring to us the lessons that we need to learn at that particular time. They're stepping stones into our greater good. And I want to read this from Ernest Holmes, because he wrote about failures, and I thought this was really good. If we appear to have failed, we should realize that there are no failures in the universe. We should completely erase the idea of failure by stating that there are no failures. If we believe that we failed last year, we will likely fail again this year, unless the false thought is erased. Break down everything except the recognition of the one perfect power, which is not contingent upon place, person, condition, time of year, or anything but itself. This is Holmes still. A demonstration is made when it comes straight through from this truth. So we erase, he says, any idea of failure. Now here's where it looks as if we're not telling the truth to ourselves. But we are declaring the truth that Spirit indwells in us, and that Spirit can never fail. There is no failure, no person to fail. Failure is neither person, place, or thing. It is a false thought. That's important. A false thought, and has no truth in it. It is a belief in lack and limitation. It is a belief in a limitation which does not exist. So we make up most of the stuff, as you know, I think you know, in our lives. We take any condition, any circumstance, and we make a whole big story about it. It's good, bad, whatever it is. And we really believe it. It's a thought form. A thought form. And I want to bring to you one more concept, one more idea. It is this: the answer to every problem already exists in the mind of God. And you are in the mind of God. And the mind of God is flowing through you in this very minute, in every minute. This we must accept, and accept it with gratitude and enthusiasm. Accept it as you would accept the best news that you have heard. And then use it. This is the tool that gets us. This is inspiration, because this is the tool that gets us through those circumstances in life that we might not feel comfortable in at all. So what is the risky inspired action you must take in order to turn the obstacle, any obstacle, into opportunity? Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with someone. They could be the hardest, by the way. Maybe it's asking for help, or enrolling in a class, or maybe it's balancing your checkbook after being unconscious about your finances. You ever do that? I've grown. Or maybe it's taking a stand for what you know is right. Or it could be leaving a toxic job or relationship. And this next bold step can feel that frightening. It can feel really frightening. But remember, it was planted there by the God of your being. It is yours to do. Inspired action is all of ours to do. And it can be as large or as small. Remember, universal mind, God's mind, does not recognize large or small. You are being, we all are, internally nudged to take this step. And you know what will happen if we don't? The nudge will get a little firmer. Then it might feel like a push. I know this has happened to me. Then a kick in the pants. And then that wonderful universal 2x4. Do I have your attention yet? The universe is saying. So I have graciously asked to have these things be delivered very like a gentle nudge. That will suffice. How about being bold and avoiding all of that pain? It is said that when I like this analogy, when a baby bird reaches a certain size, their mom begins to line the nest with thorns and sharp sticks as a gentle way, very gentle, of encouraging the baby birds to take to the sky on their own. And what do you suppose might be going through the mother bird's head as she nudges her chicks out of the nest for their very first flight? Is she fearful or concerned for the chick's life? Of course she isn't. Because instinct drives her actions. She knows that something within her babies knows that something is intelligent, divine intelligence that is flowing through them, and it's working at the level of bird consciousness. Because everything has consciousness, right? Everything has consciousness. The important awareness is that the very same divine intelligence that knows how to make these baby birds soar is working in, through, and as you and me. It knows how to make us soar through life, excelling above and beyond where we currently are. The only difference between the baby bird and ourselves is that we can really resist coming to that edge of our comfort zone. Oh, yes. We can be so afraid to step out of that comfort zone. It sometimes doesn't feel really good. I'm boldly going forth, but we know it's ours to do. Or else then we get stuck and complacent and fearful and all those other things. Come to the edge, he said. We can't. We're afraid, they said. Come to the edge, he said. They came. He pushed. They flew. So, in finishing up this talk, let us see every obstacle as an opportunity to grow bigger and bigger in our consciousness, in our daily lives. Take whatever inspired action you can and turn what you can't over to God. And you will find that that blocked path becomes the path. It becomes the path. What was once impeded action advances action. What was the obstacle becomes the way. And I would like to bring this topic to a personal close. Most of you know that Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center has held a vision for over 9 years. It has been on our weekly prayer list. All of our practitioners pray for many years now weekly. And we've held that vision of manifesting a beautiful space for our spiritual community in our hearts for so long. What seems like a big obstacle, everything that's taking place in this crazy world that we're in, is our stepping stone into taking action that is inspired and stepping out. And we are so grateful to Starting Point for the space that we have rented here for so many years. And we're grateful to our incredible board of trustees who are working behind the scenes all the time, because they voted overwhelmingly yes to the move. And now we're in our 10th year. This is our 10th anniversary, is October 10th. That's the day we became a 501c3 in the state of New Jersey and federal. So we are signing this week our contract with Collingswood Community Center. Our first service will be held October 11th. The ballroom holds over 400 people. So we're going to have plenty of space because safety is paramount. And remember, we're doing this one day at a time. One day at a time. So keeping everyone safe is the most important thing that we could do. We feel safe outside. We're going to feel safe in this massive ballroom that's absolutely gorgeous. And I want us all to remember, oh, by the way, it falls almost to the day for our 10th year anniversary. We started October 10th officially, and we're having that first service October 11th. So that's awesome right there. That's the sign. So I'd like us all to remember, all things are possible. All things are possible. Do not ever forget that. All the fundraisers we've held over the years and the work and angst that went into producing these massive fundraisers with like 300 people in them, it's paying off. And it's everyone here who has volunteered, who has helped support us through the last 10 years, and has this strong faith, as we all do. Most of us, I'm hoping all of us, in our spiritual teachings. That has enabled us to make this move. It's my last really big vision that I have for my life. And that's the Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center is in its perfect space. So as of now, that's the news. We are moving. We're moving on. We don't do office